Welcome to the podcast, Kill Complacency. Here we inspire intentional living by motivating others to handle hard better. And here's your host, Marty Hofmann.
This is part 2 of the podcast with Justin Mosley. And the biggest key takeaway here is mindset and the importance of mindset and the importance of friends and influence in becoming successful. You get your mindset right, which is greatly affected by the people in your life and your influences, then your life can be way more intentional toward success. One of his quotes is, "You don't choose your future, you choose your habits, and those habits decide your future." So think about that in regards to being intentional and living your best life ever.
Tell me about your app. I'm really curious about this because honestly, I did a webinar last week on how apps are changing our culture, and we're not using our internet browser as much as apps. And
That's interesting.
It really just lit up my mind, like the opportunity. And then I look, and you've got your own app. So tell me about your app.
Yeah, man. I didn't know that, so I'll go watch the replay. That sounds interesting and stuff. I never thought about it that way, but I did recognize that I'm really big on community. I think the people you're around play such a massive role in your life in the current, but also the future.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think one of the things I really understood early on, and I don't know if it's just intuition, that it's like if you're not in the right environment, regardless of what the reasons are, like if you want more out of life, you want to have a better life, you're either going to have some real strong like willpower, or the easier option or the better option, I would say, is change your environment and get around people, places that are actually going to uplift you, motivate you in any way that's right for you. Right. Like, I'm not a huggy kissy kind of guy. Like, I like being challenged and stuff, but I've also learned my kids aren't like that. Right. So I've had to maneuver and realize, like, they like the positive reinforcement, and I'm fine with that. Right. But
yeah.
Everybody has your own stuff, right, that motivates you. So I like to put myself in places around people that are doing much better than I am, and I learn faster that way. So the app is about building that community of people that want to get into real estate within my kind of world, the STRs. And we don't just do single family homes. We do boutique hotels and glamping and all that. But fundamentally speaking, like, it's about bringing people together that want to learn how to do it, and also want to build community while they're doing it. And the app is great because it's all in one location, all the education, the community, the videos. It's great, man. I'm excited.
How did it, just to get into the weeds a little bit on this, how long does it take to build an app? What kind of, is that a big process?
It depends on you, my friend. Like, it depends on how many bells and whistles you want, and what the functionality is. At the end of the day, bro, like, I'm a pretty simple guy, man. Like, all I want in life is a really nice house, but that's on the way, and I'll probably buy a Ferrari truck, man. But that's about it, right? It's like, I just want a place, and my app's going to be the same, man. There's a little bit of jazz in there, but really, it's like, here's the hardcore education. Like, if you really want to do this, this is the step. These are the steps. And I also want to build a community piece that's like people are engaging with each other and want to help each other and add value. Because I recognized that early on. So my app is a reflection of me, man. It's like, a lot of substance, but, minimalist for sure, man.
Tell me about your circle of friends. How did you break out of that from the corporate world to get into B&Bs or whatever?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, we talked a little bit ago about your circle of influence having such an impact on you. Where did you see that change in your life? Or maybe you never did, but was there a point in time where you realized, I need new friends I
guess I never really went through that. And I would always say maybe because I think I've always been a guy that, marched to the beat of his own drum a bit, right? Like, there were people that I hung out with and stuff. But I think when I moved around a lot as a kid, and then when I left to go to the military, I was constantly being put in situations like anyone else that has served, like, where you're just constantly around new people. And then obviously when I went to Florida. Then when I moved to England, so the same thing. So I think just getting into the entrepreneurial mindset and, I think when you go on that journey, it's just as much about self-development as it is about business development, right?
Sure.
So then you're just being around people that are doing great things, and then you tend to just bond with the ones that have similar values to you. And from there, kind of you start forming those relationships. So I don't think it was as conscious as it maybe should be for some people, that maybe you are around somebody that's actually pulling you down, but it just kind of evolved over time.
Talk to the audience for a second, Justin, about somebody that maybe is stuck in that relationship and they know they want to get into, say, short-term rentals, but their best friends all love to play golf all weekend and just do the bare minimum. What would you tell them as a coach?
I always tell people, my biggest thing is like, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm always honest with folks. It's like, I think a lot of people say they want stuff, but they don't really actually want it, right? So like, take the time to really figure out what it is that you really want in life, because some people say they want to lose weight, but at the end of the day, like care more about, eating those snacks and eating that burger and stuff. And believe me, I'm a candy guy, bro. Like I crush it, but that's why I work out extra hard, because I understand that's my vice to a degree. It always boils down to your values, man. So it's like, if you actually want to have an extraordinary life and be able to travel and do all these things, it requires a sacrifice of things that are convenient. But you have to value that more than the convenience. So let's just say you get over that hurdle and that's the case.
Sure.
Then you actually have to separate yourself from the people that don't feel that way, because you owe it to yourself. And especially, you're a dad, you got 6, I have 4 kids, man. I think having kids really was the epiphany for me. It's like, I am their role model. And it's like, I would be a hypocrite if I told my kid, my daughter, who's amazing, she's probably the most like me, but even my 3 boys, that you can be whatever you want, but like, I'm going to settle for some shitty job that like, I'm too scared to like take a risk and do something else. Right. So like, I feel like you have to actually like walk the walk. And that means separating yourselves from people that don't believe in your vision, because the reality is most people aren't. Like I talk to people I grew up with. They're like, "Oh man, I always saw it." I'm like, "Bullshit! No, you didn't, man. Like you didn't think I was going to do it." And that's cool, right? But you have to have the internal strength and belief in yourself first to go on that journey, because it's going to suck, it's going to be hard, and at the beginning it's going to be by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have a bunch of money, we can hire a team. So if you don't actually want it, you're not willing to work for it, then just go play golf every weekend, bro. Enjoy your life, man. It's not for everybody.
How about have you read much of Benjamin Hardy stuff?
Benjamin Hardy. Didn't he write books with Dan Sullivan? Like
yes.
Who Not How?
Yeah. Who Not How. But he's got
a great book.
He's got a book, I think you would like it. It's called Be Your Future Self Now.
Oh, okay. Never read that one.
Another one called Personality Isn't Permanent. I think you could quote his stuff. But where was I going with that? I forgot. I have a point.
It's all good, man. I do the same thing too, man. Like I think so quickly that it's like my mouth does not catch up with it. Maybe I'm just really dumb. I don't know, man. But that's why I go, because it's all good.
Yeah. But anyway, he'd probably be one of my favorite authors, because he's so empowering with anyone can do anything they want. And a quote you have on your LinkedIn stuff is, you don't choose your future. You choose your habits, and your habits decide your future.
Oh, 100%.
And his book, Be Your Future Self Now, is all about that. With just basically creating your future self now by putting it on paper and then drawing conclusions backwards. And
reverse engineer, man. You can reverse engineer your life. And I tell people, like, I have a living proof of that. Like I don't have the pedigree. No one gave me any money and stuff. And bro, listen, man, I'm way far away from where I want to go. Like the stuff that my wife and I have our sights set on, but I have enough gratitude to realize like how far I've come. But I think one of the most ridiculous things that people say to themselves is that, like, you don't have the opportunity to do what you want to do in life. Like, I think that's full on bullshit.
I agree. I remember where I was going to ask you. And in that book, Be Your Future Self Now, he talks about different threats to having success. But one of them is success. And he talks about when people reach a certain level of success, the success actually prevents them from more success. Have you ever thought about that?
I don't really. So explain that?
So let's say that your idea of success, I'm sure your idea of success has changed in the last 10 years, but let's say,
sure.
I'm just going to play with this. Let's just say 10 years ago, your idea was, I want to be a millionaire. Well, now you're a millionaire. I mean, you're a millionaire.
Oh,
but
yeah,
now your idea of success is so much greater. But what he talks about in there is so many people settle at that millionaire state because they think, I've arrived, I've made it. And and I bring it up because I feel like you'd be very much in line with him and me on this. Instead of settling at what your goal was, let's keep pushing. Let's keep seeing what else we can do. Can we become a billionaire?
Yeah. 100%, man. And I think largely, and you probably feel the same, is that, I definitely got in this to create a lifestyle and really security for my family, right? Like my kids. I never wanted them to know what it feels like to not have, basic stuff, right? Like that was a huge driving force for me, and just being a role model for them coming up without a dad. But over time, I've realized, especially when you actually do the work, that I actually enjoyed the journey as much as the fruit of everything that comes with it, right? So I truly am. It sounds cliche, but it's true. I actually enjoy getting after it every day. And that's where the goals continue to move because you need to. I think that's a part of manhood, I think, and even womanhood to a degree. My wife and I, it's funny because we talk about these kind of things like society and what's going on. And, I think growing up, it was very much this idea that women don't need men and all this kind of crap. And I'm going off on a tangent. I'll bring it back. I promise. And it's funny because that kind of ideology early on our marriage actually hurt our relationship because I think it was just a misbalance, right? I was in grad school, so I couldn't work. I was in England. She was the breadwinner. She was making money. But, over time when we kind of became more one and largely that was all right, I'm going to let you lead, but I look at her as an equal and she's a powerhouse. So she's an absolute monster. But I say all that to say, I think there is an alignment in what being a man is, what being a woman is. And there's a certain fulfillment as a man that our responsibility is it's in our DNA to go out and not necessarily conquer, but conquer and go out and be ambitious and all those kind of things. I think a lot of unhappiness and unsettlement in society is because people just largely are complacent. They give up. It's a perfect podcast name, my friend. I see that all the time, man.
No, and I agree. And that's why I'm all about killing complacencies because it's so easy to, what we do that when we start off is so hard. And then we get to this comfortable level and it's so easy to stay there in the comfortable and not continue to push. But I want to be someone that constantly grows and then consistently sets the example for my kids. And so that means I've got to continue to put myself in uncomfortable situations.
Have to.
And I feel like I also, going back to the conversation earlier on friends, I almost always have to be looking for some new friends that are at that next level, or unless all my friends are coming up with me. But because they're, because my circle of influence is so heavily involved with them, if my friends aren't coming with me, at some point you got to question that too, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think you make a great point. I tend to look at these things less. It's much more of a mindset piece. Now, it tends to correlate with people's level of success, realistically. You don't meet very many homeless people that are really optimistic and ambitious and stuff. But, I live in a pretty affluent area, man. And I know they go to my kids' private schools, dads and stuff. And they can be doctors, lawyers that are on paper really successful. But when you talk to them, their mindset is the same as some of the poor people I know that I grew up with and stuff. Right. And it's so I don't really spend a whole lot of time with them because it's the mindset that I think can hurt you and be the influence. Where somebody that maybe isn't doing as well, doesn't own as much real estate, all this kind of stuff, but he's hungry and he's like, I want to do everything I can to get better. And that's what I believe, man. Like, it's not just business, right? Like, I want to work out and I want to feel good, not only because I want to look good when I take my shirt off, but like when my kids have kids, like I want to be the grandfather that can like actually run around and play with them and stuff. And like, and it's like, I don't even see it that like that clearly doesn't motivate a lot of people, because it's like, you know, tons of people, they were successful, but their body, they don't take care of their body. It's like, well, what does it matter if you feel like crap all the time, you know? So it's like, I think it needs to be across the board, all areas of your life.
Yeah.
At least for me.
That's so good. It's so good. And it's hard to find, don't you feel like it's hard, Justin, to find a mentor that's balanced in all areas? Like there's some mentors that are great at finances, some that are great at family, some that are great at fitness, but to get the guy that's good at all of them is hard.
Yeah, but I don't believe in balance either, man. I think, you know, there's seasons in life. That's funny. That's something my wife says, but like, you know, it's always going to be a little bit unbalanced, man. That's just the nature of life. Right. But I do agree that there aren't a lot of people that I think put that level of value on all those things.
Mm-hmm.
There are guys that really value family, but like don't value taking care of themselves or, you know, being a provider and more, right? Or vice versa around. So I do agree 100%. There aren't a whole lot of guys that are preaching like you need to be good in all these things, like you or great in all these things, or at least trying to be, right? Like you don't have to be great, but you should be trying every day.
Yeah. Yeah, because who cares if you're a multimillionaire or a billionaire, but you don't have a family, you know?
What's the point?
Yeah, who cares?
What's the point? At least for me anyway, man.
Yeah.
Like my family is my driving factor. Like without them, yeah, like I mean, you know, to spend time, like what's the point of it all?
Yeah. Justin, I always try to ask people what their favorite book is. What would you say is what's a go-to book for you?
A go-to book?
Or a book that's been a big influence in your life? Or maybe a podcast?
Yeah. No, I can say, I mean, there are a couple books that have really had an impact on me. Two are business. One is actually not. It's more like social economic stuff. But like, so I got into economics. So Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. Probably nobody in your audience knows who that is. Well, maybe nice. He's a pretty bright guy. But he's got me into economics and really started making me think about money and the impact it has on society and all that stuff. On the business side, like most people, read Robert Kiyosaki's actually Cash Flow Quadrants. That was the book that actually really moved the needle. And I was like, holy shit, I'm thinking about this like completely the wrong way. And you talk about your goals from 10 years ago. Like my goal was to make $100,000. And I thought like, man, if I could just make okay. And that's how I ended up in corporate retail because they paid me that. And I was like, I looked around and I'm like, holy crap, man, this doesn't get me anything in South Florida. Like, like I'm still poor, right? You know what I mean? So, so that was a big one. And man.
How old, Justin, were you when you read Cash Flow?
Cash Flow.
Were you in college?
Nah, man, late. So I went to the Navy, got out, went to college. So actually probably the tail end after I got out of college, but I was working before I went to grad school. So I read it then.
So you were W-2.
I was a W-2 and I was like, I'm doing this all the way wrong.
I cut you off. You were going to say one more book. What was the other book?
Yeah. I think Who Not How was actually, it's funny you brought that up. That actually had a huge impact. I think a lot of guys like us tend to be like, just do it and get it done. But there's massive value in like building teams and delegating. And in my business, I really try to be as efficient as possible and use automations. And I'm okay with delegating and letting people do their thing. Even if it's maybe not the way I would do it, but you know, that's a part of life, right? If they can get it done and you allow them that space, like, so that mentality, I think really changed me after reading that book for sure. I need to go back and read it.
You know, the best part of Who Not How is that Dan Sullivan's name's on the front, but Benjamin Hardy wrote it.
Yeah, I always associated with Dan Sullivan. So that's why when you said it, I'm like, I know that name. And that makes a lot of sense for sure.
But it was Dan Sullivan's concept.
It's like Dan Sullivan. It's like and Hardy at the bottom.
Yeah. The other thing I always like to conclude with, Justin, is if you had one message to share with the world, one message, what would you want the world to know about?
Know about me or just
no, I mean, just like what's a burning, I mean, I could guess what I think yours would be looking at your social stuff, but What does Justin want the world to know that is important?
That's a great question, my friend. I think my biggest message is that don't allow fear to prevent you from living the life that you want to live, man. Like I there's some things that I deeply believe in, and I deeply believe in that. And I think it's sad to me, but people live their life the way they want to. That so many people, I think, live with regret, and that's a driving force for me to get to an old age and realize, like, if there's something that I really wanted, I went after it, whether I got it or not. I can be happy with that. And I think a lot of people don't even try, and I think that's sad.
Yeah,
But
that's so good. My oldest daughter, that's her mantra this year is to conquer fear, and so she's deliberately putting herself in situations that she would otherwise be afraid of, like singing a solo, like like I don't want to do that, and I mean it would be a fear thing, but she wants to embrace that because she wants to be able to grow and go to the next level. So
no, I love that, man. And I think the more you do it, the easier it gets. It's still always going to suck, but when you realize that you're not going to die, and like I said before, man, people actually care very little about you at the end of the day, man. Like they might give it some thought for, especially social media, for 5 seconds. They might shoot you a mean message, but you know what? They're going off and living their life, man. They're not thinking about you. So when you start thinking about it that way, it's like, why not?
Yeah, that's so good. Well,
Awesome,
I sure appreciate your time. Justin, how do people find you, follow you?
Yeah, man. Check me out at Justin C. Mosley on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I'm all over the place, brother. I'm all in on social media, TikTok, the whole nine, man. But if you want to learn more about kind of the short-term rental space, just Google strmillionaires.com or just go to the Apple store and download the app. And well, if you are interested in this space, man, like we're the best in business at it. So if you want to learn
when will you be out for Android people?
For your Android folks, hopefully probably 2 weeks and stuff.
Okay.
So Android has a lot more checks and stuff like that they need to do. So,
It's harder.
I'm about getting it out there. So Apple is ready. So let's roll.
I just saw that it was coming soon. So I was.
Yeah. For all you guys that just want to go against the grain, which I respect. Yeah, man. So you guys got to wait. But
well, thank you so much.
Awesome, my friend. Appreciate you having me on.
Yep.
Hey, just wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values, and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there, spread the message, share. And if you want to wear a billboard of a message of kill complacency or live intentionally, then check out my merch store in show notes as well. But it's www.mindsetshop.com. Mindset is with an X, so it's MINDXET shop, SHOP.com, mindsetshop.com. Check it out. Thank you guys so much, and have a great one.
Thank you for listening to Kill Complacency. Follow and share our podcast to change lives and inspire growth.